This is Letter to Sons. I'm Doug Keating. The past several months, I've been identifying the best 3 albums by my top 50 favorite rock bands. It's been a lot of fun listening to great music, making videos. I hope you've enjoyed this series. There's one band that has been missing from the list. Anyone who knows me knows that my favorite rock band of all time is U2. Today, I'm going to identify the best 3 albums by that band. Here are the criteria for the list. First, greatest hits albums are not permitted. Second, no live albums. I will share, I have seen U2 live in concert more than any other band, and they put on an unbelievably awesome show. The last few days, they've been in the news. Apparently, their new show in Vegas in the Sphere is mind-bending. Might need to make my first trip to Vegas to see U2 there. And last, I'll be including an honorable mention or 2 or 3 for the top 25 bands. Let's look at what artificial intelligence has to say about this list. According to my research assistant, ChatGPT, here are the top 5 U2 albums based on both sales and critical acclaim. Good list. I will highlight there is one album that absolutely is missing, and you'll see on my list. Let's look at some data from Spotify. According to that musical streaming platform, here are the top 5 most popular U2 albums, as well as their most recent single, Atomic City, which I think is okay. There's the album I was looking for, War. I will talk about in this video why that album was critical to this band being successful long term. The third best album by U2 is War, their third album. This is the record that kept this band alive. Here's what happened. They released Boy to Many Accolades. Then they had the sophomore slump with October, which is not a good record. The band wondered whether they should continue to even play rock music. They decided to keep together and declared War, and that's the album they released. I own it on vinyl. It starts with their best song they ever wrote, Sunday Bloody Sunday. It includes New Year's Day, as well as Surrender and several other really good songs. Without War, the band would have quit and U2 would have disappeared into oblivion. The other third best album by U2 is All That You Can't Leave Behind. Once again, the band was in a bad place. They were recovering from the release of Pop, a generally awful album. I think their worst. Many critics and fans had written them off, and then U2 returns with All That You Can't Leave Behind. A killer album that starts with Beautiful Day, goes into Stuck in a Moment, Elevation, Walk On. That's just the first side. I saw them on tour in Chicago for this album, and they just put on a hell of a show, and it was clear to everyone the boys were back. The second best album by U2 is The Joshua Tree. Many consider this to be their masterpiece. Indeed, it is a masterpiece record. Released while I was in college, I played this thing endlessly. It has With or Without You, Where the Streets Have No Name, as well as several other really good songs. In fact, there's not a bad song on this whole record. I'm going to say the same thing about U2 that I said about Led Zeppelin. If The Joshua Tree is your second best record, man, you are killing it as a band. Here are the honorable mention albums for U2. First is The Unforgettable Fire. Released while I was in high school, I saw them on this tour at Constitution Hall downtown in DC. Only 3,000 in the audience. Amazing show. I own the anniversary edition. It includes the song Pride about Martin Luther King, as well as Bad, one of the songs that just really, really sounds great when they play it live. The other honorable mention album is How to Dismantle the Atomic Bomb. One of the more recent releases. I own it on vinyl. Opens with the killer guitar track Vertigo, includes City of Blinding Lights and several other songs. Once again, love hearing them play music from this album live in concert. The third honorable mention album for U2 is Rattle and Hum. The Joshua Tree had made them mega stars. In fact, they got a little too big for their britches and came up with a really bad idea. Let's do a concert movie. People will love it. The movie, not great. The album that was released with it is really good and includes one of my favorite songs, Desire, and it ends with probably one of the most moving U2 songs you'll ever hear, All I Want Is You. The best album by U2 is Achtung Baby. After the fame and fortune of the Joshua Tree and all the exposure from Rattle and Hum, the band was labeled as a little too serious. Bono specifically, self-righteous, messianic complex, full of himself. All true. The band decided they needed to change it up. Bono put on some silly glasses, became The Fly. They moved to Berlin after the wall went down and said, we're gonna make a fun rock and roll record. And that's exactly what Achtung Baby is. I have the anniversary edition. It has so much great music. The song One, when I saw U2 play live in Dublin, the Irish woman next to me cried during the entire song. She was so moved by it. For Mysterious Ways, Edge changed the guitar sound. They brought out a belly dancer. I think he ended up marrying her and just had a good old time with that song. Achtung Baby, I think the band really peaked because they stepped outside their comfort zone and said, you know what? At the end of the day, we're just the best rock and roll band in the world.